Hello, welcome to the video. In this section, we're looking at lesson 9.2. We're going to solve special right triangles. So there are two types of special right triangles. Right triangles that consist of a 45, 45, 90 degrees, and another special triangle that has a 30, 60, 90. Because they have those angle measurements, we can use that to formulate some values with respect to their side measurements. So if you look at a 45, 45, 90 triangle, that particular triangle is an isosceles right triangle. So that means that this side is the same as that side. And whatever side measurement that is, our hypotenuse is going to be whatever the side measurement is times it by the square root of 2. If we look at a 30, 60, 90, what is going to be happening is two things. You can, depending on which two things you have, your value, your singular value is going to be driven by the side measurement that is opposite of the 30-degree angle. Another thing you can look at too is whatever measurement that is, it's going to be twice the measurement uh, for the hypotenuse. So if this measurement here happened to be 3, that means that this measurement here is going to be 2 times 3, which is 6. It's double that. And then whatever measurement this one happens to be, you just take that measurement and multiply it by the square root of 3, and you get that other side measurement that is opposite of the 60-degree angle. Okay. So with that, they want us to find the value for x and then write it in simplest form. When they want you to write that in this form, they want the exact answer. All right, so you have to use radicals in order to solve these problems. You can't have decimals. So here, because example A is got a 45-degree angle, that means that it's an isosceles right triangle. So that means that both of these values have a value of 8. The hypotenuse here is going to be 8 times it by the square root of 2. It's just whatever the side measurement is times it by the square root of 2. Here, for B, this one is also a 45, 45, 90. The reason for that is because they tell us that these two sides are the same measurement. That means since they are isosceles, that means both of these have to be 45-degree angles. And because our hypotenuse is 5 times by the square root of 2, that means that these side measurements for x is 5. All right, so for here, they want you to find the values of x and y. Now, if you recall in the formulas here, everything was kind of derived from the side measurement that was opposite of the 30-degree angle. And if that wasn't the case, you knew that it was twice the measurement of the 90-degree angle, right? Unfortunately, we have to take into account the 60-degree angle. So in this particular instance, x, this value here is going to be x times it by the square root of 3. So to determine how the value is for x here, what you're going to first do now is take the square root of 3 to both sides. So that means that x is going to be equal to, well, it looks like it's going to be 9 times by the square root of 3, all divided by 3. So that's actually 3 times by the square root of 3 equals x. So that's where we get our value from x from. To get our value for y, it's going to be 2 times this value here. So y is going to be 2 times 3 times by the square root of 3, which is going to be 6 times by the square root of 3. Okay. A lot of this just takes practice in order to figure these out, especially for a 30, 60, 90 triangle. Let's look at another one, for instance. So let's say like for number 3 here, that opposite value here is derived. So like, that was that singular value of x, but here, this one is going to be equal to the square root of 3, and it's going to be multiplied by the square root of 3 because of what the formula tells us to do. So x in this case can be the square root of 3 times by the square root of 3. It is just going to be 3. And if you have other questions on any of one of these problems, feel free to uh, leave me a comment, shoot me an email. I'm more than happy to work out those problems as well. Here it says a tipping platform is a ramp used to unload trucks. They want to know how high is the end of an 80-foot ramp when tipping angles of 30 degrees and 45 degrees. So first one, let's look at 30 degrees. So 30 degrees, like I said, this is the value of x. We know that this is going to be 80 the whole time. So if you recall, this is 2 times the value of x. So that means that x is going to be 40 feet for 30 degrees. And if we looked at it, if this was 45, that means that these two are the same. And if you recall that when it's 45, this is still 80. This doesn't change. This is just going to be x times it by the square root of 2. So that means in order for us to find these values of x here, we have to divide the square root of 2 to both sides to 80. So for that, you're going to take 80 over the square root of 2. So I got to take the square root of 2, square root of 2 over here, which is going to be equal to 80 times by the square root of 2 divided by 2. That means that x is going to be 40 times by the square root of 2 feet if it was a 45-degree angle. And that is being able to solve special right triangles. Hope this helps. Till next time.